Hello and welcome to the Barcast. I'm your host, Nick Barr, coming to you on a sunny and cold Tuesday here in New York. Today I want to talk about the Enneagram and I actually want to walk through an exercise that for me gets to the heart of what the Enneagram has to offer. So this is a tool that I use myself, I use with people I work with, and you'll have the opportunity to play along. So if you know your Enneagram number, that's great. If you don't, you might want to take a test. I'll refer to the IEQ9 test. That's the one that I point people to. All tests are pretty limited in value. That's one of the reasons that I created this exercise, but it's a good place to get started if you don't know your number yet. I guess I'll add that you don't have to use the Enneagram to get some value out of these exercises, although it's easier, as we'll see. So just a real quick kind of rundown. What are we doing here? We're gonna, this is my new what, how, why slide. This is me just reminding myself, like, what am I doing here? At some point I'll probably polish up these slides, but since you're a Barcast subscriber, I know that you're forgiving of rough drafts. So what I want to do is I want to give people a way to get like immediate value out of the Enneagram, particularly around creating awareness and compassion. The how of that is using these exercises I've created called the inner mandate and the fatal flaw. While I've created, the names or the specifics, it's very much in the in sort of the mainstream tradition of the Enneagram, as we'll see. And why am I doing this? I think it's because existing Enneagram tests don't point directly enough sort of at the ego for my liking. Especially the professional ones tend to sort of be an overload of bullet points, and none of those bullet points quite have the bite, that sort of reflection back at oneself that I think is necessary for the value of the Enneagram to sort of take root. So we're going to try to put some teeth into the Enneagram here. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is identify some of the hopes and values on one side, along with the fears and allergies that come out of the Enneagram type. And so to make this real, I'm going to bring up my test. Here it is. So again, this is IEQ9. This is Nick Barr. I'm not sharing anyone else's private information. And we're just going to focus. You can see how much there is here, just pages and pages of content. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. I'm going to focus just on one page, in fact, one part of one page. These sort of modules here. But you can pull in information from other pages as well as just outside of the Enneagram here. But really all I'm going to do here, and this is what I would do with someone potentially in kind of like a first call, is just start to list out sort of the values and the allergies or the hopes and the fears that are emerging from this. Okay, now let's see. How am I going to do this? I guess what I wanted, I'm kind of trying a new setup here. So I guess I could do something like that. Or you know what? I can do this. Like here. And then there. Maybe that will work. Okay, we'll figure it out in post-production. So, worldview. Something is missing in my life while others seem to have this. So there's sort of a fear of like missing. I'll add to that like lacking is a big one for me. Focus of attention. You focus your attention on expressing yourself authentically. You are highly attuned to your emotions. You focus your attention on what has meaning and depth. Okay, so a lot of values there. Authenticity. That definitely resonates. I'm just writing down things that resonate right now. meaning. Yeah. Depth, for sure. Core fear, being without identity or significance. I think identity actually is a value. Being without significance. I think significance is a value. I'll just write down insignificance as a fear. Being without identity, being a nobody. That doesn't feel good. I'm nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? That makes two of us. That's a little Emily Dickinson. Self-talk. I must be true to myself. I must make a difference. So truth. Not making a difference. Is that a fear? Like no impact, kind of sort of like not leaving a mark. Invisibility. So then, there's also sort of a being seen. Gifts, identity, depth, originality. I think we have those. Not originality, though. Originality. So all we're doing right now is just kind of capturing phrases and words. Vices, envy and fantasy. Longing for what you are or don't, or longing for what you are not or don't have. Dissatisfaction with ordinary reality. Yeah, there's sort of a fear or analogy of like mundanity, the mundane. Yeah, being a nobody is a good phrase because it's not being nobody, it's being a nobody. I would throw in like aloneness. Would be a fear for me. So we could spend, a lot of time here, but I already noticed the way that this test throws worldview, focus of attention, core fear, self-talk, gifts, vices, so much, and that's just one part of all of these things. Motivation, here we go. What is this? Motivational need to be unique and authentic. Okay, unique is another one here. Unique. Special. I like to feel special. Okay, so I'm gonna dismiss the test now, and we'll just kind of work off this basis of having identified some words. And now what I'm going to do is just going to see if I can start to notice any patterns here. And I'll tell you what I mean. The next page, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to come up with what resonates for me as what I call the inner mandate. It's like this kind of command, almost like you could call it like a mantra, but it's sort of like a unhealthy mantra. I must or else. I must or else. If you imagine kind of like a golem or even like a runaway AI, like an automaton, it's operating instructions. I must or else. I must or else. I must or else. So what we're trying to do now is kind of find an inner mandate through this exercise. And so I'm going to go back and kind of like look through this lens and start to just sort of notice, like, one thing that I noticed pretty quickly, and this maybe will be where I focus today, we can have many inner mandates. There doesn't have to be just one. There probably isn't just one, but we will find some are more core than others. And the Enneagram is so good at getting to the core fast. That's one of the reasons I like it. So one of the things I noticed was aloneness and specialness. Because maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I kind of have the full project in my head. But it's just odd, right? Like, special kind of is alone in a way, right? Like when you're apart from everybody else, when you stand, what do they say? Stand above the pack, stand outside of the pack. You are both special and alone. So there's something kind of interesting there. Same thing with like unique, but for me, special and alone, there's a real. So the inner mandate might be something like, I must be special or else I'll be alone. And it's related to being a nobody. If I'm not special, I'm a nobody. And if I'm a nobody, I'm all alone. Truth in the mundane is another one. And these are just going to be intuitive. Like, it's interesting doing this by myself and not having somebody to talk to. But it's like, things are just kind of matching up in ways that are not so obvious. And that's okay. The inner mandate is, you just know it when you say it. Even if you've never said it out loud before, there will be some recognition. Oh, that's me. So don't approach this logically. Don't be like, I must be significant or else I will be insignificant. That's not the flavor of the inner mandate. I must seek the truth, otherwise I'll be stuck with the mundane. I must seek the truth, or else I'll be stuck with the mundane. There's definitely something there. Anything else? Yeah, special, original, unique. Those are all coming up for me. So I think now I really want to get to an inner mandate that feels true for me right now. I'm moving into the feeling of being alone, all alone, not wanting that. So what do I do to not be alone? I kind of then assert identity. In order not to be alone, I carve out an identity. And then the other one, being a nobody. In order not to be a nobody, I got to become somebody. In order to become somebody, I have to kind of put my unique spin on it. Otherwise, how would anybody know me? So I think I'm ready to write an inner mandate. A bunch of interesting stuff here already, but let's see. How do I get out of this? Okay. I must contribute something original. Or else I'll be all alone. It took me a while because I've done so much work in this area that I didn't want it to be like rote or package, something that I've already kind of done. I needed to be real. And so this one, it feels a little fresh for me. I must contribute something original. So not just I must be original, but it's not about my being. I kind of need to contribute something original. So I'm combining that feeling of like making a mark and significance and meaning with originality. I must contribute something original. If I don't, I'll be all alone. Yeah, I think that feels right. They don't immediately feel connected. So let's try to like just suss out the logic here. Why are these things connected? I must contribute something original, so that people appreciate it / me. Or else I'll be all alone. Because I am not inherently worthy of appreciation. So I could continue to tune this and to explore it, but I think we're at a fairly clear place, at least to me. So there's this inner mandate. I must contribute something original, or else I'll be all alone. And putting a finer point on it, like what is that logic there? I must contribute something original so people are like, wow, cool thing. That's awesome. Thank you. We love that. We love you. You're great. You're smart. Or else I'll be all alone. Just wouldn't be considered. I don't think it would be that I would be like hated. I would just be a nobody. Oh, Nick, he's a nobody. He didn't create anything original. This is kind of the artist side of the four. That originality is so important to fours. So this is already pretty powerful stuff. Like what's coming up for me when I just work with the inner mandate is some awareness of this pattern. And depending on like where you're at in life, just recognizing the pattern might be really significant. So for instance, here I am with my own spin on the Enneagram, and I think fours really like the Enneagram because it's so permissive of creative expression and interpretation. So I recognize this, but if I were just coming into this work, I might say, oh my gosh, why I really need to put my original spin on everything. Like that's interesting. I could have just pulled up one of the books that I've read and say, hey, I'd like to work through one of these exercises in the book, but that didn't even occur to me. Okay. So there's some awareness there. There might also be the beginning of some compassion. Like, what does it feel like to always be feeling like I need to contribute something original? Maybe I like it. Maybe I feel good about it, or I feel like, yep, that's my life. I'm an artist. I'll never stop being an artist, or wouldn't even want to. And that might be there. And there also might be some sadness. Gosh, I'm just like this horse with a carrot always dangling in front of it. I've always got to be proving myself as original, always proving my originality. It's so exhausting because I'm really kind of like always working toward avoiding this aloneness. And as we access that side of the inner mandate, like the relentlessness of it, that becomes interesting. Like, what is it about this inner mandate that causes it never to be fulfilled? Why is the work never done? And again, like, I don't know what the answer is for others. For someone with like a great setup, either through healing or just good fortune, there might not be a problem here. Really, I don't think there has to be a problem at all. Even with the mandate that I've just set, I love connecting with people. Imagine me in 5 years, and I just love this Enneagram work, and I'm traveling around the world, meeting people who love the original tools that I've created. And I just get so much meaning, not just out of creating them, which I love, but also of like coming to these conferences and speaking and having people come up to me and say, that was really great. Like that's where it's at for me. And so I've found a way to, live and embrace this inner mandate. I don't think that's a problem. But for me, and I think for many people, there is some quality of torture here, of like relentless hamster wheel, never ending, horse and carrot dissatisfaction, that I'm never getting to the finish line. that I must contribute something original isn't coming from a place of purpose and meaning and abundance, as people say these days. It's coming from wanting, it's coming from lack, it's coming from scarcity, it's coming from hoping, the God-shaped hole in my heart to fill. And so that's when we can introduce the fatal flaw. What is the fatal flaw in the logic of this inner mandate that's causing it never to be resolved? So there's something about this inner mandate that is broken. And as a 4, it's easy for me to lock on to brokenness and notice it. 4s are like we've got the jeweler's loop, and we can spot a microscopic flaw. So we're going to be very talented at this exercise. Well, it's pretty obvious, I think, how many of the great artists and inventors and original minds simultaneously felt a sense of belonging, of understanding. How great were they at cocktail parties? Not very, because exactly to produce something original is to exist sort of at the very edge of intelligibility. And when you're existing at the very edge of intelligibility, that's a pretty lonely place. So, the fatal flaw is in pursuit of originality, I kind of like the way I said it just now. I become barely intelligible to others and end up feeling very alone when trying to communicate my ideas. So there's this simple way that the fatal flaw in my inner mandate brings about the very conditions that it's trying to avoid. And, I think this is like Freud 101. But psychoanalysis and Freud are sort of like a wonkier language there that I think is relevant here. But we don't need to bring in all of that machinery here. I think we can just work on the inner mandate, I must ... or else ... and then inspecting that inner mandate and wondering, why is this never getting met? What is the fatal flaw inside of it? It must be me. That's the insight. It's not them, it's me. It's not I need a new friend group. It's, there's something about the very way that I'm undertaking this mission that is dooming it. It's not always dooming it. And it's not like it's so broken that if it were that bad, it wouldn't have lasted this long. It has to kind of work, but it's like a beat up old car that never quite gets you where you need to go. So At this point, one might feel like a lot of compassion because there's just this wish for belonging and for connection and for being understood. And so much work, such hard work to try to create those conditions. And yet there's like a mistaken idea, there's a fatal flaw in the logic that is, causing me to not only not get what I want, but bring about the very conditions that I want to avoid. And that's very sad. That's like, I don't even know who the Greek hero is who ends up having that fate. But there's a tragedy there. And it's a tragedy that, I live and am living. And even though I'm in it, I can find compassion for it. With just this foothold of understanding, I can find a place where I feel compassion for myself, which is great. And so, as we conclude this, and I think what I'll do is I'll put this on the website or something, so that people who, it's not like you could just do this exercise without the PDF. It's very simple, but I'll try to package this into some sort of resource that people can download if they want to. But where I would end with somebody is like, cool, what's coming up now? Like what's next? What do you want to know? What do you want to investigate? And there are a couple things that came up for me. One is like, with whom, or maybe to whom, do I want to belong? I heard myself say there's this wish for belonging. Belonging, what does that group look like? Do I really want to belong to that group? Maybe conversely, like, what's so bad about being alone? Like, or else I'll be all alone. What exactly is going to happen to me if I'm all alone? These are truly like open-ended questions. They would be future conversations, etc. I'm not going to try to answer them here. How do I know I'm being original? Why is originality inherently good? What does it feel like to belong? Without being original. Okay, and so on. And these explorations could lead to deeper inner mandates with deeper fatal flaws. So it's turtles all the way down, I guess. And I'll leave it at here. So the hope of this exercise was to give people a framework, a really simple framework that you can kind of glom onto whatever inner work or Enneagram work you've already done. All the information is going to be in that report that you get, or even if you took an online test with your website, like summary, it might be there. And again, you don't really need the Enneagram to do it either. You could just come up with what are those values that I have and what are the allergies that I have and what's the relationship between them. And the hope is that you walk away with, first of all, awareness. Oh, there's this inner mandate, there's this protocol, there's this command that I have just underneath my conscious mind that is informing a lot of my motivations, my behaviors, how the world is showing up for me, A. And B, gosh, that's too bad. Because it's causing me some level of suffering and is grounded in some level of confusion. And wouldn't it be nice to clear that up for myself? So that's that. Hope it was helpful. Let me know how it goes. And if you want support on this, I'm around. See you next time.